Real quickly, let's review what we went over in the last video, the CF Bear model. We'll just go real quick for people who haven't seen it so they can understand the rest of the video, and then revert back to video 3 if you need it. And the C stands for context, the F stands for focus, and the BEA stand for behaviors and emotional attention. In CF Bear, the R stands for results, and it's a cycle. It is a model for verifiably how the world really works. So it's not usually what people have been sold and told is the truth from authority who wants you to believe that we're living in this wonderful world so that you keep paying your taxes, keep voting for them, or what have you. Or what commercial entities or people trying to make a profit is selling you to explain it in some unique way they can sell you. This uniquely is free. Everything we're doing in this video series is free for you if you're watching it. The CF Bear model is a cycle. It's got 4 basic steps. It's a super simple model, but it's very powerful, and it really tells the truth, if you will. And it is the scaffolding and language we will use for the rest of the video series. So it's super important, and it makes up the foundation, or is at the foundation or the center of just about everything we do and how we think about changing the world. So the first step is the C to the F, or context to the focus. And the context is what we're going to distill later in this video. And we'll talk a little bit about the bio-self-target as well, which I mentioned in the previous video but didn't detail. The first step is the context within which you live. Everything that is verifiably real trains our focus. Step 2 is our focus then drives our behaviors and emotional attention. And to step 3, those behaviors and emotional attention produce results. And then step 4, those results then modify or maintain the context within which we live. And then step 1 repeats. You go back to step 1 again. So it's a cycle, right? Let's get further into the bio-self-target, a place where you want to be, where you are healthiest. It is going to be represented in all of our videos as the green circle. So the green circle is your bio-self-target. That's usually what I call it. It is your biological self-target, or bio-self-target. The target is something like, more or less, there's different ways to describe it, and depending on how you think about the bio-self-target, it is the comprehensively healthiest lifestyle and everything else someone can live and exist in. So we're talking about literally everything that you can verify. Remember, context, and this is a context that is where the target, where you are comprehensively healthiest. You have that comprehensively healthiest lifestyle and everything else that someone can live and exist in. So it is a context, but you usually aren't living in it, especially right now. Another way to describe it is the healthiest verifiable context one can live in or have, which I just described. Yet another way to describe it is the factually best comprehensive living situation you can have for your biology, so you thrive best with no consideration for the norms whatsoever. So it is literally, objectively, verifiably, comprehensively the healthiest situation, context, lifestyle, and everything else you can live. So it's the target. It's where your biology is, say, happiest, right? Where your biology is honed to be and to live and exist and thrive. So let's go into a little bit more detail about what the bio-self-target is. It includes all of the ologies. That's a phrase that I use. Every fact, every subject, etc. So everything that is truly comprehensively healthiest for your individual biology. So all of the ologies means everything that you can test, that you can verify, that you can objectively determine is real. So it is comprehensively, truly comprehensively healthiest for your biology. So it includes absolutely everything. So from your dirt under your fingernails or not, your fingernails themselves, your hands, the sun rays, the sunblock you wear or don't wear, your hair, your sex life, your spouse, your friends, your the weeds in your garden or not, those things like there is nothing it does not include. The optimal situation for that is the bio-self-target. So if you have advertising for French fries that you see every day, that pulls you towards something that is not comprehensively healthy, that is not best or in line with your biology. So it is not included in your bio-self-target. For example, someone hitting on your hand with a hammer, that is not healthy for you. So it is not part of your bio-self-target. It's not where you want to be, right? And this is objective. So this is according to things you can verify, science, like real science, facts, not things you imagine are real. And there's no right and wrong here. It's just what is comprehensively healthy or not, or what is in line with your biology for the comprehensively healthiest results or optimal health. That is included. Living this way is totally in line with your biology with no assumptions for optimal health. And nothing perfect is implied in there. When we say optimal, again, we don't mean anything perfect. So that is also, I put it in quotes there because that is our slogan or tagline for 2K KrazyKnots, the video series you're watching right now. In line with your biology with nothing assumed for optimal health. It includes everything you desire that is also healthiest for you, so may not agree with your perception. And I just mentioned that. So if you think donuts are healthy for you and they actually aren't, that's your perspective that is factually wrong. And that is verifiably true for everyone that I'm aware of anyway. So donuts are not part of your bio-self-target. They're part of the context within which you live because donuts exist and you have access to them and you see advertising for them and so on. So the bio-self-target might disagree with your perception. That goes for donuts. It goes for dirt under your fingernails, whether that's healthy or not. It might be. I don't know. There's clay. Clay is supposedly good for your biology, cleansing or something like that. So maybe dirt under your fingernails is a good thing. I'm not sure. I'm going to guess not. And there's some things that just are here nor there. But if they are healthiest, it is part of your bio-self-target. Your perception that is in line with reality 100% is the perception that is the bio-self-target perception you should have if you want the comprehensively healthiest results. But remember from the previous video, there is no should in the world. So if you want to die, you should put a knife on your wrist or something, right? I'm not saying do that, but if that is what you want, then you should do that. However, there is no innate should in the world. So this is just a brutally objective look at things, but it also includes your feelings, like how we have behaviors and emotional attention. That's feeling, that's caring, that's empathy, those type of things. what should those be? What should those look like? And everybody's is a bit different. Your bio self-target is not the same for everybody's biology. Like my biology, my DNA and how I was raised and various things that have affected my biology or not make me have or desire and is really the healthiest place for me or not. It is, another way to put it is, or another fact about it is verifiably fact, not opinion. And this is important. It's not a theoretical spot or place or destination or context. It's not theoretical. It is a real context you could really live. Now, whether you want to live it or believe or verify that it is actually true, we're not asking anybody to believe anything or me. Verify everything that is possible to verify, and not everything in the context within which we live is verifiable. But this is knowable. It is understandable. It is verifiable and not theory. So it's not a philosophy. It's not a practice. This is a real place you can test for. We say with the little bit of a reservation in using the word place, but we're using sort of area here, and we'll get into Venn diagrams here in a minute. But it's where the context needs to go or be to live and thrive. Let's bring in the context within which we live, the C, right? So we've got the bio self-target, that's the green circle. And then we have the your current real context. So that's the one where it is everything that is verifiably fact. So it is the reality of where you are living now. Bio self-target is where you want to live, where you want your context to be. So is your lifestyle, your perspective, and everything else. Like if you have too much sun rays on you and you're going to die because you have too much sun rays, is it healthiest to put sunblock on or smear mud on your body or get in the shade or live in the forest or in the jungle, right? So this talks a little bit about that. Where does your biology thrive in terms of what is the context, and geographically as well, but that's just part of it, right? Where is your biology going to thrive? In the thriving area here, there is no down red arrow. We have to draw the line, the green line across the top, because as you progress to less overlap, you go from thriving to surviving, less union or cross-section or overlap or alignment with your bio self-target. And when you're dying, you have amount of overlap or alignment, degree of alignment that is far less and not able to sustain you in your life and or over generations. So this is generational. This could be 10,000 years from now, 1,000,000 years from now, tomorrow, a minute from now. If your context is not overlapping your bio self-target, you could be dying. And if you're doing a little bit better, you're surviving. And if you're doing the best you can do, then you have perfect alignment with the bio self-target. But we don't show that because that would be extremely rare. And that would mean that you're not evolving societally or biologically at all, which would be very rare and difficult to do. But perhaps. So alignment basics. Thriving, that is optimal health. So remember the previous slides. Thriving, you're in your optimal health. It's not perfect health. That's an important distinction. Nothing we're going to describe is perfect. No one we're going to describe is perfect. That's imagined things, right? Perfection only exists in the mind. Thriving is where most people lived approximately 2,000 or 2K years ago. That's why the video series is called, part of why the video series is called 2K KrazyKnots, 2,000 years ago. Some things went wrong. And so most people on the globe, we're thriving. Now, of course, not everybody. Many of us today are surviving. Most of us. This is where the bulk of people are. But there's a contingent of people we'll get to that are dying. The dying people, you're dying out. You're going extinct. And we're not making a distinction between societal extinction or dying out or biological. It's one and the same when we're talking about this. They aren't literally one and the same. But when we're talking about extinction and dying out, you're dying out in society. That means you're going to go by the wayside, and people like you, how you behave, how you think, and the results you get are going out of favor, not popular, and will go away eventually. And biologically, we mean evolutionarily. This is what truly verifiably healthy human-focused people are experiencing and have experienced for 2,000 years now. So the most truly verifiably healthy human-focused people are experiencing dying events or struggling to stay alive, to stay afloat in society, to stay in line with their biological self-target. And they've been doing that for about 2,000-ish years ago, 3,000, 1,500, something like that, long time ago. However, it got started before that, before the 2,000 years, 10,000 years ago, I think is the last time I checked, likely when slavery first started, the taking context within which we live, or the assumptive nature, mostly taking, started occurring just a little bit, right? Like a contingent of the world's population. And then it really took off. This dying and of the most truly verifiably healthy human-focused people really took off with the popularity of assumption. So it started with taking behavior that was sort of forced and against people's will, very likely slave labor and women to breed with or have sex with sex slaves or something to that nature, that a taker would want if they couldn't lure in or entice or convince a mate or a passerby. So that ushered in the cult of assumption 2,000 or 2K years ago. So let's read what alignment is. If the context within which we live, never mind what you think you live in, is not in line enough with your individual biology or real bio-self-target, you are underperforming those who live more in line with their bio-self-target, whether you like that or not. And it's brutal. Think of the lion that rips the anus out of a gazelle as it's flailing and fighting for its life. And the lions just sit there and munch like it's a great afternoon. That's what we're talking about here. You're underperforming. If you're a truly verifiably, like I can tell who you are, and you are a healthy human-focused person, like you care about people, you're empathetic, you give to wonderful people and probably to other people, because you cannot identify people very well in the taker's context, because that's how they like it, because they can hide, because you assume, and I'm part of that too, because I'm giving to you and I don't know who you are. That's why we want to verify things. But it is brutal. And again, that's underperforming both societally and biologically. So let's go over a couple examples. Liberals, stressed by global MAGA type mentalities. Make America great again, or make Iran great again, make Europe great again, make, my club or my Nazi regiment or military militia, whatever, great again, or so that we can win or whatever. That mentality is comprehensively unhealthy and not best for truly verifiably healthy human focused people. But evidently, it's better or more in line with the bio-self target of MAGA type. So let's read that again. Stressed by global MAGA type mentalities, the way the world is and treats them, or us, I'm liberal, Bernie Sanders liberal, and other wonderful people, because you feel, you care, you're empathetic, you reach out and do things for other people, so you have less children, babies. You whether it is biologically driven and your system isn't willing to have children because you are stressed or because you are uncomfortable, your quote unquote nest is not proper, whatever that is. I'm not making a distinction on what you should or should not have necessarily. It's supposed to be more in line with your bio-self target. So the more overlap there is between your context, the less stress you'll have, less unhealthy stress. So there's healthy stress as well. I'm not an expert on that, but people who know more about that can weigh in on that. So you want a situation that feels and is wonderful, healthy, happy, and that sort of thing. But pursuing happiness isn't where we want to do. That is not comprehensively healthy, because if you want to be happy, you'd be drunk all the time, you'd be doing drugs because they make you happy, and just do them constantly, and then you die, right? So that's not in line with your bio-self target, that context within which you live, where you can get or people convince you to use drugs, is not healthiest for you. But that would be pursuing happiness. So a lot of the people in the liberal contingent that are stressed are escaping. They withdraw, or they lash out and get angry and mean or make fun of MAGA. I would argue that, and I'm not an expert on this, but I'm becoming an aficionado in it, because I'm actually doing this. I've done both, and neither seem best. There's a better way to do. You cannot get just away and escape. You have to actually change the context within which we live. And we'll get into that more, but I got into that last video as well. So let's move on to faith-based lifestyles. What is their plight? What is their overlap? And this one's a little bit more confusing, because there's a timeline or different segments of what is going on with their alignment. Faith-based lifestyles, they believe there's magic in the world. They assume there's magic, hence the cult of assumption, right? Part of it anyway. You can also assume there's authority. You can also assume your spouse or friends are not stabbing you in the back literally or figuratively. Faith-based lifestyles, they imagine they are saved. They believe they're saved. They have faith that they are saved. Focus on beliefs. So that gets you tuned, or your mind repeatedly focusing, getting used to believing and assuming things, having faith in things, hoping things. They care and focus more about other things. Fill in the blank. And in this case, we're talking about faith-based, so it would be God, Jesus, their parishioners, their clergy, their assumed holy book, their praying, or whatever, if your religion involves that. You're basically not giving credit to wonderful people who are doing wonderful things as much or at all, depending on how faith-based you are. So there's degrees of this wrong perspective, or there's no wrong or right, I should say, but there's degrees to which your focus on humans is sufficient or not, or healthiest comprehensively. And I don't know what yours is. Not on humans, and I put etc. there because what we need, food, shelter, a warm place to be, a sunset that makes us appropriately and healthily feel good and wonderful about where we are, so we feel like we're well nested and ready to have children, so we procreate and outperform. There's other stuff other than what is humans It's what we need, what our surroundings, clothes, sunblock if we need it, whatever it is, or mud, or shade. So because they focus on things that are not real, and they have beliefs, and they imagine they are saved, they don't mind having lots of children, from 3 to 20, 30 children with the same or multiple people. Therefore, they are outperforming us liberals. I don't want to make this political, us people who care. And some conservatives are concerned now about this, and have been, about the geopolitical situation, war, health things, and so on. They're stressed about it sometimes, but they tend to be less stressed about it if they're escaping into an imagined world that believes in magic, assumed magic. So the MAGA type of mentalities are here to stay if humans do nothing. If we let this usually political separation, but there's spiritual people believe who are liberal, oftentimes, I would say mostly, believe in, if they're not atheist or agnostic, almost always believe in some type of spirituality or magical Zen state when they meditate or take hallucinogens or marijuana or something like that. And that is equally as bad, sometimes even worse, because it directly messes up your mind. That's how I started the previous video 3, talking about hallucinogens and marijuana, how they're terrible for your brain, and so is faith-based lifestyles. So it's not just conservatives. Matter of fact, some conservatives just like guns and just don't like abortion for whatever reason, and things like that. That puts them more in the stressed category if they still care. But it's mostly liberals who are stressed because we think about things. So we get the and the nuances in life more often. If we let that happen, if MAGA and the mentality that supports us, or the faith-based people assume authority is doing the right thing, people who assume their spouse and coworkers and etc. assume they are doing what you desire, supporting you and what you want in the world, that is your bio self-target, or would support it. If we keep letting those people win, because that's how they put it, or outperform, that's how science usually talks about it, societally and biologically, it is verifiably, not probably, not imagined, not a belief, verifiably catastrophic for humanity. Now, I have not verified that, but I've contemplated this, and I have discerned that it is an almost an certainty that we are going to end in a catastrophic end as truly verifiably healthy human-focused people, or truly giving people, or truly feeling and emotional people who care about the outdoors and the environment and people and what supports real thriving humanity. It will be catastrophic for us, and it might not be suddenly catastrophic. It could be centuries catastrophic, and that is my assessment over the last 2,000 years, and what purportedly these clandestine operators who helped me with this, Jasmine, who brought it to me, say is happening. Like literally, the reason I am in an RV recording this in a wildlife refuge is because I'm underperforming, because I'm a type, maybe not your type, but a type of truly verifiably healthy human focused. If I was performing well, I would be in the most plush tropical environment, and there would be a heater in here that I wouldn't have to start the motor to go because it's not working yet. I'm still renovating it. There would people would be bringing me food, and I would be doing things for them, and so on. I would be in a giving way to live. So I am dying out. I'm going extinct. People who are like me. So more alignment basics. The key, the more overlap or in line with your biology, the more you thrive. That's kind of the bottom line. The healthier or less stress you are. And if that's the case, the more children you will have. You will feel comfortable having children. Like if your children are thriving and bouncing around and healthy and not sick, and you aren't stressed, and who you're with and procreating with and cohabitating with aren't stressed, and the environment is not stressed, and where you're living, and you have the things that you want, 90 to 95% of it that is necessary and desired and comprehensively healthy, you're going to want to have children. And the people who say, I don't want to bring children into this world, there's some reason for that. Usually, they are more liberally minded and care about people. But not always. Like, why would I bring another child? I can't afford it, or I can't keep care, or I can't watch all the kids, and so on and so forth. But if you lived in a situation that did all that for you, largely, then people in that group would have more children. So I don't just mean you have children, because if you can't have children, you can still contribute to helping people who are truly verifiably healthy, human focused of your type have children and care for them. That's a very good thing to do. So whether you're past the point where you want to have children, or whether you just for whatever reason can't have children, there's still a way for you to give in this way, in a giving context. Went over this in the previous video quite a bit, but it is really important. Nobody looks at things truly comprehensively without all the baggage, without all the extraneous stuff that isn't necessary, isn't real, like morality. That's just a thing humans came up with. And it's largely based off a religious base. Ethics, a thing we made up that sort of helps us in society, but isn't really something that is innate or something that is part of your bio-self target. It is important to live the truly comprehensively healthiest lifestyle you can. So remember the CF Bear model. Context trains your focus. Remember that? So change your focus so you don't have to try to maintain your focus in this crazy with a K context to live in. Crazy with a K, remember, has to do with crazy things we do biologically, societally, that aren't aligning our context with our bio-self target. It could be for biological reasons or societal reasons, learned reasons. It's also selfish regard that is unending and does not give to other people, where we're trying to sometimes trick people. That's also part of crazy with a K. It's kind of a squishy term. Put in a negative context, the crazy context, the crazy with a K context, focuses so we do things, so we outperform societally, but because we live in a crazy context to live in, what we're doing to outperform societally is making us underperform biologically, and often over generations. One of those is relationships, how we handle relationships and family. And that is a focal point of the major affecting center or mechanism that we either upright the world or tank it or cause it to end catastrophically, not necessarily suddenly. Let's begin distilling that context. Remember, the context is the black circle or ring, and green circle is the bio-self target, where we want to be, where we want that black context that we live in to overlap the bio-self target. The more overlap, the better. So let's begin distilling the context. If you are dying, as these rings are set up here, you have very little alignment or overlap between the two rings. So your context is not overlapping or in line with your bio-self target, because the context you live in doesn't align with your biology. If you were to just remove all exposure to junk food, now I'm talking about advertising, product placement, your friend having food, your spouse or kids bringing home junk food. And junk food is definable. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but if you remove all the exposure to junk food and the junk food itself, because that's exposure as well, you get closer to your bio-self target, which produces comprehensively health for you and your surroundings. That's important as well, because there's a compounding effect. If you are eating junk food or someone else is eating junk food that is less than healthiest, then that influences you. You start to feel like, because people usually say communal, but that's not quite right. We like to be around people. Healthy people like other people and to be around people. Healthy people don't necessarily like all people. And I would argue, and we're going to argue, that that's actually healthy. But you like some people, and that is healthiest. So we want to be included. We want to be popular. We want to be known. We want to be accepted, whatever your frame of reference, how you think about it, of those people. I call it the association effect, where when you're around people and things, that is exposure. Even if they're just talking about it. Oh, I wish I could have a donut, but I'm not going to. Then that gets you thinking about it. That's influence. Or if they pick up a candy bar and you have all fruits and vegetables, and you're like, oh gosh, yeah, that does sound good, right? And then you go get one. That's influence. So if you remove the junk food, and however you define that, I define mine pretty, in the current context we live in, very extremely, but when you look at your biology, it's not extreme at all. It's the comprehensively healthiest. So why am I the weird one? The context within which we live calls me the weird one, calls me strange, calls me abnormal. You don't eat dairy and your body handles it fine? Yeah, I don't eat dairy. If you notice, there is a significant amount of overlap with the orange ring. That's a theoretical ring, right? We're removing from the context within which you live the black ring and showing you where you could go, how much healthier you could go. And there's no quantity value here, no amount. This is just a representation to talk through what distilling the context is and what happens. So as you remove the exposure to junk food, how you determine that and how it is really in line with your biology or not. If you're removing things that are healthy for you, your black ring, the context within which you live, is going to move the other way with less overlap. If you think it's unhealthy for you, but it is healthy for you, and you remove it, the context within which you live is going to go, so it's get out of alignment with your bio self-target. And it'll go in line if you correctly or accurately, factually remove something that is unhealthy for you. And junk food, by definition, is unhealthy for you. And depending on what your biology is, that is definable differently. There are consequences that are important being accepted in your society, being ostracized or deemed strange or weird because you are trying to get healthy. For example, not having that donut and having a glass of water or a vegetable instead of a donut when everybody else is having a donut, and people look at you like you're a weirdo, right? So then that isn't healthiest for you. So you need to change that context. We'll talk about that here in a minute. Let's move on to the next one. Pollution. Same thing. If you remove your exposure to pollution, if you are removing plasticizers from your water or from your food, if you are removing pollution, smog, lead acid battery in your garden or something like that, tires that are degrading and getting in the soil, and noise pollution, all of those things, if you were to remove them, you get more in line with your bio self-target. And the ring, theoretical in this case, gets, but it would happen if you were able to do it, and it's quite difficult when other people are polluting the world. So these are the easy ones to understand. We'll get into the little more nuanced ones here in a moment. But if you could remove all the pollution, you would be living more in line with your bio self-target, optimal health that produces comprehensive, healthier in this case, results, because we don't have very good overlap still. So the context within which you live would have more overlap or alignment with your bio self-target if you were to remove pollution from the context within which you live. So let's get a little bit more controversial or nuanced here. If you were to move all narcissists, so what is a narcissist? What is a narcissist to you if you are a narcissist? Do narcissists even exist? So I say that in part because if you are different biologically, then what a narcissist is, or what a person who is screwing things up is definable. And arguably, you're better or worse depending on who you are and how you define or describe what a narcissist is. So our bio-self target for, say, MAGA and liberal-minded people, Bernie Sanders liberals like me, progressives, is very different, or seems different, or is MAGA just thinking their bio-self target is a certain way? I don't really know. I'm not an expert on this, but an aficionado, again. And for people who are liberal-minded and who care about people, truly verifiably healthy human-focused people, if you remove narcissists, the world gets better. And some people might say, well, that's not fair. Is the gazelle getting eaten from its bowels, its innards getting ripped out, even though it's perfectly healthy, perhaps, or got a cold or an illness temporarily, by 5 lions that are super happy? Is that fair? Is Ukraine right now, is that a fair situation? No. There is no fairness in the world. It's just what is, and what is comprehensively healthiest, and what outperforms and what is not outperforming, and how you feel about it. Because that's important for how you want to live your nest when you want to have children. So if you remove, and it might be a little bit brutal, remove the narcissist from our lives, move away from the narcissist, right? So there isn't a direction with this. We aren't murdering or doing anything necessarily. Some people might, but I wouldn't, because it's not comprehensively healthy. It's not in line with, it's not going to improve my life or my performance if I break laws, for example. So I'm not going to hurt or even detriment narcissists beyond removing the benefit that I give them in what I do in life from them. If I could filter out all the narcissists from watching this video, for example, I would do it. And I try to some degree. It works, but not entirely. So you get more for a truly verifiably healthy human-focused person who does not perform well when there's narcissists influencing, so around, or actually cohabitating with you and so on, interacting with you, influencing other people. So it doesn't necessarily have to be you one-to-one. It can be through other people, 10, 6, 5, a million people. If that influence goes through, and voting is an influence, it puts sway on the world, and narcissists can vote, and they aren't thinking properly, at least not truly verifiably healthy human focused. That's my bio-self target. Then when we remove them, our context has more alignment with our bio-self target, and we perform better. We live healthier. We have better results. Our focus is better. Our behaviors and emotional tension is better, and are healthier. Our results are healthier, and those results change or maintain the context within which we live better and healthier and more comprehensively, so that we outperform. We go from surviving to thriving if we remove, perhaps, or surviving better, healthier. Now let's go even more controversial. If you remove all takers, so taker is definable. I try not to define things, because defining gets you into trouble and gets you sort of locked into something that has nuanced importance to it that needs to be highlighted. So I usually say describe. So I describe takers as people who do not give at least equal back to someone who gave to them. So pay it forward is always a taker's game, because in the end, it either peters out because each iteration, each person that gives to the next person who is unbeknownst to them, or they don't entirely know who they are and don't realize they're not giving as much, or abruptly One taker just doesn't give and says, I don't have time, or I'm too busy, or I need that, or I'm just going to take it. Nobody's watching, what have you. So if you remove all takers and clever lying men from the context within which we live, then we have more alignment with our bio-self-target if we are a truly verifiably healthy human focus. Now, why am I throwing men squarely under the bus here? Because, well, I could go through a myriad of statistics and things that are nuanced and complicated, but the most glaring thing I can succinctly tell you is, why is the global prison population approximately 93% male? That is so lopsided, you can't even say we are the same, and we aren't. We are not the same. However, we both can do most of what the other can do, except for the procreation stuff. It's an inclination or a desire. We'll get into the clever lying man and why that's important. That term we'll use, and we'll describe it in detail at some point. But if we remove those people, and as I said in the last video, every male that is under 52 years old, apparently, I have no idea why 52 exactly is the number, the age, but I know generally it's experience, know-how, sort of tested biology, and those types of things where it's been verified this person is verifiably a wonderful person or not. So a clever lying man can be, apparently everybody who is less than 52 years old is a clever lying man, and takers who aren't comprehensively healthy or living in line with their biology for comprehensively healthy results often are clever lying men as well. It can be of literally any age, except men are usually puberty or older. You're getting more optimally healthy. You're getting closer or more in line with your bio-self-target. You're more in line with your biological self-target. If you remove takers and clever lying men from the context within which we live, if you are a truly verifiably healthy human-focused person. So what I just showed you is from the perspective of people who are like me, truly verifiably healthy human-focused people. But many MAGA people are narcissists, takers. They want to win. They want to be the champion. They want to conquer. They want to dominate, those types of things. And they believe in things that reinforce that. So theirs is going to be different. Their bio-self-target might be different, or maybe it's not. I've got to do more research on that, because what I've said in the past and will say is they're actually ultimately doomed, and so on. So we distilled the context to some degree. We removed narcissists, we removed takers and clever lying men, we removed junk food, pollution, and those sort of things from our life, and so on. If you remove that which is not truly healthiest from the taker's context, that's where we started in distilling the context, from dying to surviving, perhaps, if you could. So if you remove that which is not truly healthiest for you from the taker's context, if you could do that, the more optimally healthy your context is, your focus becomes or is trained. Your behaviors and emotional attention, your focus drives behaviors and emotional attention, and those behaviors and emotional attention are more in line with your biology. Those behaviors and emotional attention produce results, and they are healthier. All of those, that whole string, context, focus, behaviors, emotional intention, and results all get healthier. And the context within which you live spirals up, not down like it has been for the last 2,000 years, and gets healthier for truly verifiably healthy human-focused people, and less healthy for those and that which is not healthiest for you. And for me, that is squarely MAGA and Trump and Putin and junk food and pollution. But takers will not allow that. Just look around at MAGA, Trump, violence, unhealthy products, unhealthy people, and so on, because there's influence, right? If there's unhealthy people doing or saying unhealthy things or behaving in unhealthy ways, that context for me is unhealthy. And if you try to change that, remember the Flintmobile from the Flintstone cartoon in the last video 3, they won't have it. They don't want it. They want to win the context. They want to keep it so it's aligned with what they think is best. And now notice I am not necessarily saying it's their bio-self-target, but it's what they think their bio-self-target is. So we're at odds with them. We're fighting it out. It is mano a mano, MAGA versus truly verifiably healthy and focused people, or liberals, progressives, people like that, people who care and have feelings and emotions. And it's slightly different for everybody. Caution. So there's a number of cautions here. Removing people from your context in a community or group of people who do not understand this usually makes you underperform even worse. So I mentioned this or alluded to it. If you remove, say, a narcissist, a taker, a clever lying man from the context within which you live, but that group or community sees that and does not understand that as actually healthier for you, and you do it lawfully, or say you do it unlawfully, then it hurts your health outcomes. It makes you underperform, right? So say I punch MAGA person in the face, which I won't do and have not done. But if I did that, I might go to jail. Then I'm underperforming. So that's not good. Or I might yell at them on social media or in person, like, don't be an idiot, or vote for Bernie Sanders, don't vote for Trump, you moron. And I'm in a group of people who are MAGA supporters or MAGA-like, or maybe I talk about how religion hurts people, and it verifiably does, or assumptive behaviors and thinking and assumed magic harms people. It verifiably does. Come to me, I can show you how it does and describe it to you. If you do that amongst people who do not understand what I'm talking about, that you're making things healthier for yourself, and even some that do, who don't want you to win out, right? Who don't want you to perform because they don't like what you do. They don't like us sensitive, feeling, in touch with reality people. They will ostracize you. They might shoot you. They might punch you. They might yell at you. They might block you from something that you need. Like if you go to some service or product place where they're selling a service or product that is controlled by taker or clever lying man, they might not give it to you, might not give it to you at the right price. But if you go to someone who is truly verifiably healthy and focused, and you know that, but you usually don't, you might get a better price, or you might get the right price, or you might get the service. But we can't verify. Who is MAGA? They're a little easier to pick out, but not always. Who are the truly verifiably healthy human-focused people, and what type of truly verifiably healthy human-focused people are your type? Culturally, people shun vocally negative people in general. And I have witnessed this. So if you say down with MAGA amongst people, they're like, ooh, even truly verifiably healthy human-focused people, they're like, I can't take any more of the negativity in my life, for example, then they might block you. That has happened to me. Or if you say that about religion, religion's the big one, because like most truly verifiably healthy human-focused people believe, who would be otherwise, hopefully not now, believe that being religious is okay. We can coexist. You believe what you want to believe. To each is his own, right? That is not actually true. That is not. It harms us. Also, of course, this is all reasonable. So remove, when I say remove, and I mentioned this before, when I say remove, it implies nothing illegal or violent. Duh. Like, if you're truly verifiably healthy, human-focused, and you're not in the military, law enforcement, it's not going to include literally removing them from the earth or something like that. Anything illegal or violent. That said, Jasmine is the military-esque or military. I don't think they're officially military. They're clandestine, so I can't tell. And they won't say exactly, but I'm pretty sure I know. Not who they are, but that they are military-esque. I mean, they're giving me every indication that they are without actually saying. That said, Jasmine is removing them, the people who are the takers in the world, who are awful in ways they can. So they're doing lawful things to remove detriment and cause to underperform healthy human focused people, which also includes causing truly verifiably healthy human focused people or giving people to perform better or outperform. That said, Jasmine is removing them in ways they can because they are hidden, whether you like it or not, because wonderful people will not survive it or survive life if they do not do that. I am aware, but I have zero control over what Jasmine does. I always have to add that disclaimer there so people don't think I'm doing it or orchestrating it or commanding it in any way. Like, I don't even know what they're doing and how they're doing it. But what I do know is that my part of it is making it so truly verifiably healthy human focused people lawfully outperform all others. And I'm going to start with my type, but I want to branch out into other types because why? Because I care about the human species and diversity is risk reducing. So let's move on to the next slide here. The triangle again, delta, it stands for change. It's a symbol for change. So what can you do? Change the context you live in away, in all caps, away from the current context you survive or are dying out in. So change the context. We mentioned that in the previous video, video 3, where I described the CF Bear model. You have to get away. So I didn't mention this, and that's on purpose. We didn't mention that you have to change the context after you get away from the context. So, for example, I'm trying to experience what is going to happen to people often if they get away from the context within which they live. It's isolating, it's boring, it's lonely, it's sad, it's not sexual at all, it's not healthy, it doesn't bring you anything or much, but it's a way to get away from the context within which we live. Now, there are ways to cope with that, but are they comprehensively healthy if it isn't bringing truly verifiably healthy human-focused people or truly giving people of your type into your life? If you're truly verifiably healthy human-focused of any type, the answer is no. If you get away from all people and just look at the internet or just play the guitar or just make videos, it appeases you in certain ways. It copes with the situation a little bit and sometimes a lot, or food or whatever, go to the bar, etc. All things that I'm doing to compensate for the lack of social interaction. I would not go to a single bar, I don't think, if I didn't. I might still play the guitar because it's fun to share with other people and think around on it. But I don't think I would go to another bar or restaurant if we had the healthy food and people that I needed around me in this motorhome, Rusty Bucket, that I mentioned in the previous video as well. It's an interesting take on how to do this, a bit of an adventure. So delta the context. So I said that in the last video. Change the context. That was the kicker, if you missed that. The kicker is change the context. But part of what is required, and there are more steps, so don't just go out and do this. Don't just escape the context. So don't escape into simulated life. Don't escape, and that includes masturbation. That includes sim games, includes video games, a simulated life. It includes getting a pet when you don't need a pet or shouldn't get a pet or are better off. Your results societally and biologically would be far better off and your sway on the world would be far better off if you were to get with people. So we do things, and some people turn to like, oh, I can't take it anymore. I'm going to go to church just because I feel better. I've done that a period of my life. It's sort of a fresh start. But the problem is it screws up your mind. It's not good for you, and it screws up the world. So don't go to church. Don't go to religion. Don't start believing in authority when you're not watching. Only when you are watching. This isn't paranoid. Don't believe your spouse if you haven't been able to verify them every moment that you wanted to. Don't believe your pastor. Verify things are actually true with facts you can personally verify, or use an expert that you can verify everything about. So delta the context, and then we add you must get away from the context within which you live to change the context properly so that it is more in line with your bio-self target. That concludes distilling the context. So verify everything. Don't believe me. Check everything I have said. This is pointed in the right direction. Remember that. This is pointed in the right direction and mostly correct. Only, I am told. So please help me. And so far, 0 people have tried to help me with the model, the CF Bear model, any part of this, people who I can verify who they are. That tells you how the context is, how they're focused. You think I'm doing something that I'm not doing. And I'm a truly verifiably healthy human-focused person, but nobody even verifies that. Nobody's even tried that I'm aware of that said that's what I'm doing before or after. There are very basic instructions on how you can verify me, what I'm saying, and everything that this is about. Read everything there. There's not that much there, but there is a little bit to read. And contact us. Contact me. And we can help you with the verification. And there's a little bit of instructions on how to do it on your own as well. But it's not spelled out for you. You have to do a little bit of legwork. You have to think a little bit. Why? Because assumers, placaters, takers, and clever lying men aren't diligent, usually. Don't verify things. Don't do the legwork, and so on, to do things. So what does that do? That insulates me and what I'm doing to some degree. That's what I've been told to do, and seems to be working, except it leaves you pretty lonely so far. Very lonely. So assumers assume. So we also let them assume things that are inaccurate. Even though we tell them you have to verify. All you got to do is verify. They just assume, and they do it all the time. It happened to me just yesterday on social media. And they tend to leave us alone because they assume I'm a cult leader. They assume I'm crazy with a K, when it is actually them who are crazy with a K because they assume things that are just not true. So let's get back to Kaleidoscope. When I announced Kaleidoscope, you witnessed a first in human history, whether you understand that or not, or believe that or not. The first barely provably sane or completely normal and healthy, extremely credible person announcing it, Kaleidoscope, accurately to the public. Nobody else, I'm told, has ever done that. Everybody else has been labeled a kook, crazy, mentally ill, in the tinfoil hat club, no disrespect to anybody with mental illness, or just not doing the right things, which is what I call crazy with a K. And the reason why I say barely provably sane is a subject for another video, but I alluded to it in other videos. But if you assume things, you're going to assume that I am crazy with a K or a C. But if you verify things, like sit right next to me, watch me on video 24/7 if you're remote, or if that's just what you want, and track me on GPS for the rest of my life if you need it to verify who I am. Who is willing to go 100% transparent like that? You can see my finances. You can do urine samples. You can do feces samples. You can do once in a while a blood sample, like a prick on a finger. I don't want to be sticking needles in my arms constantly, if that's what you want. And I don't want to be creepy or weird, but the offer's on the table if you need it. So am I really making that offer? Nobody's taken me up on that offer. Why is that? Because we all assume in the cult of assumption. The taker's context inspires that. So why Kaleidoscope? I don't want you to believe me, but here's how we might elevate it into, okay, maybe this guy isn't wacko. Maybe he's, that red-faced guy, and there's a, thing. The guy's pound the table, so to speak, on videos and red in the face, saying there's something that reads your mind. Those are usually the wackos or the really weird narcissist type people who say these things. But I'm saying it. Same guy you can verify, verifiably in every way. So why would you take this seriously, even if you thought I was not telling you the truth? Here's some pretty good reasons that I've lined up. There are more as well. How does a microwave or sound wave affect things without you seeing it? If you didn't know this, I didn't know this, you can elevate a small animal, and they've done this in a lab. You can elevate, change the physical position of something with sound waves. You can change biology, molecules as well. I'm not sure. But in a microwave, you definitely can. When you put something in a microwave, you can't see it. When did the public first learn about things like the Patriot missile that was once top secret? After it was found out accidentally, supposedly, or was it? I'm not sure. By journalists. Journalists were looking at the sky and talking to each other and decided, hey, those bombs are exploding in the air. What is going on here? It was in the Middle East where the Patriot was first found out. You didn't know about that until revealed by accident. What is happening right now? See some similarities? Not so you believe. Look at the big red letters. Don't believe me, but surmise that maybe this guy is telling the truth, and I am. What is the biggest glaring weakness in defense? It's humans, mostly the human brain getting a cold, biology, which Kaleidoscope can directly affect and change and alter in calamity or in peacetime. I don't know, but it has that capability. There's no war going on right now, and they're doing it to me this moment. What is thinking and other biology? So we said microwaves, molecules. It's chemistry. Chemistry is molecules, ions, electrons. The common kitchen microwave can change electric charges, electrons, which changes chemistry. If you know anything about proteins or molecules or atoms, you know that electrons are a big deal. Ions are a big deal. It changes how that molecule, how that chemistry works. Your feelings and emotions and your biology is just chemistry, just a bunch of molecules, bunch of atoms, bunch of bilipid layers and sodium potassium pumps. What are the functional parts of your biology? It all boils down to chemistry. How much time and money would likely be spent on the weakest part in defense? The human brain and human errors. For the United States, which is where I am a citizen of the United States, as I mentioned, I would wager to guess there is a blank check there. If you can do that and it looks promising, like the proof or the hypothesis seems viable, I think people would give you all the money you can have, and it would be a race, kind of like the race to the moon. Who can do that the best? Trillions is what I put there. I don't know. I don't think they would require any money. I think they would just say, what do you need? And just give it to them, because it's probably a top secret operation. And there are other things involved as well. Other reasons Kaleidoscope is real that would be convincing that I probably just left off here or not aware of. So please bring your contribution to this. Please, no conspiracy theories, just facts. Please, no tinfoil hat people who are mentally ill. Sorry, we cannot let you weigh in on that. Your surmise that this is right, it's not going to weigh in on this. We want facts, real stuff. So then, given all that, what would possess a perfectly healthy, and you can verify that, man, me, who has never had any paranoia, mental or emotional problems, or propensity to be conspiratorial in his life and who had a wonderful, successful career and life, who signed agreements with the CIA to suddenly, in 1998, and I did not get a job, so I'm not part of the CIA, and I'm not pretending to be, to suddenly give that up and more to pursue a new way to live and make up a story about some technology he calls Kaleidoscope. I fucking wouldn't. That's crazy. That would be crazy with a K. I am not that type of person. I just don't do that type of thing. I am a objective-minded person. I'm a former hedge fund executive, a CTO and chief risk officer. I was asked to be K1 partner in the flagship fund at that global macro hedge fund, a legit stock analyst. I picked great stocks. Often in graduate school, I picked great stock. I'm a legit stock analyst, a capital markets research analyst. I analyze mostly stocks and build algorithms to beat the market. What do you have to be to do all that? What do you have to be to analyze an economy? Which I'm not an expert at, but I have done that. A currency, a future, a global macro theme. This stuff that I'm giving you, and provide you sort of the reservation, the objective, like, I can't prove this, I can prove this sort of mentality. What is going on there? I'm an objective-minded person. I have emotions and feelings, but I am a great decision maker. And I would like people to put that to the test, but nobody seems to give a shit. So here I am. Verify me and this, right? So all else fails, ignore me and ignore what I'm trying to get you to think, and just verify the stuff that I have said and see if it actually works. And you know, it's sometimes it's complicated and nuanced, and it can be misleading, especially if you didn't spend years like I have analyzing, not researching this stuff. I don't have a PhD. I got a master's degree in finance, focusing on capital markets, buy-side investment, and data and analytics and risk. So verify me. I'm objective-minded. Thank you. And please, again, go to our website, confluenceinfinite.org. We're changing the world here.